Hey everyone. So this has been a really interesting week because for the first time in like 14 years of playing classical guitar, I am playing without nails. And for me, this is a radical change. Basically what happened was I was filing my nails shorter and shorter and discovering that by mixing a bit of nail and a bit of flesh into my sound on each pluck, I could get this warmer tone. And I kind of realized as I was filing at some point that when I was plucking, I was getting this nice warm sound, but actually I wasn't even touching the nail anymore. So that's no nail playing. And so anyway, I've been spending a week, it's only been about a week, messing around with no nail playing and figuring out how it works and what are the advantages and disadvantages. So today I thought it'd be really fun to share with you how I think no nail playing sort of works from what I can tell so far, as well as a bit of the history of no nail playing on classical guitar. And at the end, I'm even going to try to do a bit of a comparison when I play some pieces with nails and some pieces without, and we can hear the difference. So while it's true that today most classical guitarists since Segovia, and maybe even partially due to Segovia's influence, play the classical guitar with nails, this wasn't always the case. Before Segovia, and maybe you could say before World War II, when gut strings were the standard string, we know of a long history of guitar playing where some guitarists played with nails and some guitarists didn't. Even into the 19th century, when you get the 6 single-string guitar, some players like Sor, Karkazi, Tariga famously didn't play with nails. In fact, Sor even has this really interesting quote. He says, "Never in my life have I heard a guitarist whose playing was supportable if he played with the nails. Their performance is, to mine, what the harpsichord was in comparison to a pianoforte." And in Karkazi's method book, he says something similar. To obtain a full and mellow tone, apply some force at the top of the fingers, but avoid touching the strings with the nails, except for special effects. But of course, at the same time, you have guitarists like Aguado, who preferred the nails. Although it's worth pointing out that apparently later in life, Sor actually convinced Aguado to cut off his thumbnail. So he played just with the flesh and the thumb. And apparently he even says that if he was to go back and do it all again, he'd play with flesh. All right, now before we start playing, I just want to read you one more quote to get us started by Emilio Pujol, who actually was a student of Tariga's, who at the end of his life started playing without nails, and so did Pujol. He says that since the fingernail is hard and varied in its surface, thickness, and consistency, it imparts to the string a penetrating brilliance, quick and rather metallic. Without nails, however, the string is struck by a smooth, subtle, and sensitive object, both thicker and wider than the nail, and which gives a sound of greater softness, fullness, and purity. And I have to say that after a week of playing without nails, that quote summed up my experience perfectly. So let's finally play and let's see what we're talking about here. On my thumb, I still have a normal nail, and that's because when I play with flesh, I actually play lower on the thumb, and the nail doesn't get in the way, so I can have both. So this is actually the perfect way to demonstrate, I think. Let's hear some nail playing on the first string. So the string starts in the pocket, which is the space in between the flesh and the nail, the little V-shaped pocket down there. But it's definitely making contact with the nail when I'm touching the string, and then when I release the string, the string takes a ride on the ramp of the nail, you could say. And I think Pujol's right. I mean, it has a penetrating brilliance to it, and I really think that's the sound that I've come to love about the classical guitar. Okay, now let's hear the flesh of the thumb. A much more dark, mellow tone, but still resonant. And it's so resonant because I'm making a point of pushing the string down to the top of the guitar, towards the top. If I was to just pluck the string horizontally like I do kind of with my nail, it's a very thin sound. So I think with flesh, you have to sort of push the string down more. But if you do, you get a very resonant, beautiful tone. And I think what I figured out is that that's exactly what you have to do with all the fingers, is you grab on the flesh first, and then you push the string down towards the top of the guitar and let go, and then, wow, a beautiful, resonant, warm tone. For me, it also really helps to touch the string on the flesh, push down, and let the tip joint collapse. If you do that and then release, letting the finger follow through towards the palm, kind of like Soar says, a pluck is just closing your hand one finger at a time, right? So I took all those principles of pushing the string down and grabbing on the flesh, not the nail, and I applied them to some guitar repertoire, and it sounded like this. It's a super warm, intimate sound, which I really am growing to love. And then I made a really interesting discovery. I realized when I was teaching a guitar lesson that I could still play on my nails because my nails actually grow really close to the tip. So even though it looks like I don't really have any nail, I can still play with it if I want to. So if I angle correctly, that's nail. Of course, the thumbnail is easy because I still have a long thumbnail. But with the fingers, if I just careful about making contact with the nails, no problem. It's a little bit tricky for me. Obviously, with a slightly longer nail, I think I don't have to work as hard. So maybe this isn't my best nail tone, but I can do both. Which then led me to think, let's make a video where I show you A and B, flesh and nail, and let's see how it sounds. And to do this test, I'm going to use this really lovely guitar by Sayers Guitars. This is a Torres copy, flame maple back and side, spruce top. Torres guitars are what Tarrega played, and so I thought this would be appropriate to use. Currently I have it strung in Nile gut, but I have just ordered some gut strings, so stay tuned for another video about that. So speaking of Tarrega, let's try a little bit of Lagrima with nail, and then on the repeat without. So it's definitely darker and more mellow with flesh. I think I'm really noticing in the bass especially. I mean, that's nail, and then with flesh. So there's just more high partials, you could say, high overtones with the nail. Let's try a piece by Fernando Soar, who is a big proponent of no nail playing. Oh, I really like it on that one. That darker sound seems to really complement that melancholic key of B minor. Let's try another piece by Sohr. This is the introduction to his Variations on a Theme by Mozart. Wow, that one's really interesting because I know this piece really well. I've played it for a long time with nails. And there are some aspects that I'm loving about the flesh with it, and others which I kind of, prefer the nails. For example, one of my favorite effects is playing super, super quiet, like a choir from a mile away, where you play very quiet, but because of the nail, it's still very clear. With flesh, it's a little bit less focused, but really resonant. So I like the resonance, but I don't like the lack of focus, I think. But okay, there's one more piece I want to try. I'm a little afraid of this one. People are always commenting on my tremolo videos, can I do this without nails? And, well, let's find out. So it's possible. I find it a bit difficult. I think I actually might need even less nail than I have now to really pull that one off. So I already have a lot of takeaways here from this experiment. The first one is I'm definitely not experienced enough with no nail playing. I think there are things that I'm slowly realizing about this technique which I need a lot of hours put in to really develop this technique to its full potential and always have a full tone. For example, the one thing that I think is the hardest for me so far is remembering to always push the string down manually, because I think with nails, especially with a ramp shape nail, which I usually have when I have long nails, I think what's happening is that the nail really does a lot of the work pushing the string down towards the top of the instrument, which is what gives you a lot of resonance. But when you take the nail off, if you don't push the string down, you don't get the resonance. So you have to make up for it by actively pushing it down with the weight of the arm. So that's some homework for me. But in short, I'll say that in terms of the pros and the cons here, the pros of playing with flesh to me, as I can tell so far, are that the tone is so resonant and warm and rewarding that I just love the sound. I think the tone is absolutely beautiful. Then I'm really loving the fact that I can make contact with the string on a bigger surface, on a soft surface, where I can really feel and caress the string. I feel like I'm more in touch with making the sound. Whereas when I play with nail, I thought I was feeling that, but it's definitely, compared to the flesh, lesser so. So I definitely feel more in contact with the string. Another big pro is, of course, I don't have to worry about breaking a nail. This was a serious daily fear of mine, is breaking a nail right before a concert. It's no fun. So no nail maintenance. No files, no sandpaper, nothing like that. And then I have to say that something I'm missing about playing with nails is sort of the ease of playing, right? I know I'm new to the no nail thing and I have some time to put in here, but it seems to me that when you play fast things like quick arpeggios or tremolo, that something about playing with nail allows you to move faster and still get that resonant sound, whereas I find myself a bit sluggish with no nail playing. And the last thing I was thinking about with playing without nails is that, in terms of the full spectrum of timbre that's possible on a guitar, from super dark sounds to super bright sounds, when you play with nails, I think you get access to those very, very bright, super high overtones. But with flesh, you kind of max out, even if you play on the bridge with flesh. It doesn't sound that bright. I mean, listen to nails. It's super, super brassy. Of course, it's taste of when you want to use that color, but the fact that it's hard to make that color without using the nail maybe is a disadvantage. But then again, maybe that's what Sohr and Carcassi are talking about in terms of special effects. They say they can use nails by curling the finger more and imitating an oboe, I believe it is. I can do it right now, play with flesh and then with nails, so maybe that's the special effect that Sohr is talking about. Okay, that is it for today, but stay tuned because when my gut strings arrive, I'm going to throw those on and we're going to try no nail playing with gut strings with some music by Sohr, for example, and we'll see how that sounds. If you're interested in going deeper with the whole no-nail classical guitar thing, I strongly suggest you check out Rob McKillop on YouTube. I'll throw a link in the description to his channel. He's got some fantastic videos which really helped me understand to a greater extent this technique, and he's got such a good channel playing all things that go pluck. So check that out, and I hope you found this useful. See ya.